Hey guys, welcome to the Massive Iron channel, Massive Iron Live. I'm covered in dog hair. Don't judge. I just took my dog out and it's raining and I had to carry the little poor guy. And oh my goodness, we're just covered in dog hair everywhere. I had to bring my little poor guy in because he don't like the rain very well. He doesn't like the rain very well. All right, guys, welcome to Massive Iron Live. I appreciate you joining me. I'm here every Friday at 11 a.m. Eastern. And just a couple housekeeping things before we get started. It's super bright. I know it's super bright, and I can reduce that by doing this, but then I can't see your questions. A couple housekeeping things. I'm here every Friday. If your questions don't show up, it is not me ignoring you. It is the YouTube acting funny. So if your question, hey, buddy boy, if your questions don't show up, try reposting them again, shorten the question a little bit, maybe rephrase it, or just be patient. You can hit me up on Instagram at Ben the Barman, slide into my DM, and I will let me get that up real quick. This is for those of you follow me on Instagram. And if your questions don't go through, you can hit me up. If you're watching later after live is done, you can head over to Instagram at Ben the Barman. I answer every question that is sent. Not always immediately. It takes me a while to get up to speed on things and get caught up, but I do answer questions. And I often answer questions with audio messages just so I don't have to type. So appreciate you guys joining me. Look, if you are new here, please do not hesitate to post a question. I am here to help. Diet, train, nutrition, supplementation, off topic, whatever you want. Post up a question. So things kind of look a little bit different in my background. We moved the couch and we moved the TV so we could prepare to put up the Christmas tree. So yeah, we're one of those people. You know, we're the Christmas tree early people, so don't judge. So yeah, I mean, I wish I could get rid of this obnoxious white blaring background, but it's a rainy day here in Ohio. You guys just gonna have to deal with my face looking like the sun. So let me know what you guys got going on this weekend, how training is going. Before we dive into things, just a reminder: every Friday, if you post a question before 11 p.m. before live starts, you get a chance to win a free hoodie or T-shirt. And that dog hair is bothering me right now. You get the chance to win a free hoodie or T-shirt. So post up, try to get on every Friday before 11 and post up a question. Black Friday is coming, and I'm not going to be one of those obnoxious people that does a Black Friday sale like 2 months before Black Friday. But the new Team Massive is coming in the new year, so I want you guys to pay attention to that. We're going to have like daily check-ins. It's going to be a lot more detailed and in-depth. It's going to be almost like micro coaching for those of you that want to come by when you can and get help. So stay tuned for that. Keep an eye open for that. All right, let me get into things. Oh, that's me. Hey, Stein, how's it going? Stein was first today. Congrats, Stein. Let me just see what happens when I do this. I can't see the comments, unfortunately. What I'm doing is going full screen on my video, and it makes me less whitish, but I can't see the comments. So that doesn't really help at all. Student Loan Chit Chat. How's it going, Carrie? This is Carrie, longtime follower. Appreciate you joining in. Paul, how's it going, Paul? Good morning. I'm a dad. What's your superpower? Good morning, Massive Meatheads. Good morning. Appreciate you joining in. Forgot it was live stream, so waking up and seeing this literally made my day. I appreciate that, man. I mean, just to be able to do this for a living and talk about lifting, it is really what it's about for me. So I appreciate it. There's a lot of chaos, in the world, and there can be a lot of chaos on social media. I will say, if any of you guys get really, really sick of Facebook and you want a good alternative, join Team Massive. You can check it out right here. Team Massive is a growing group of like-minded individuals. No trolling, no politics, no religion. We just talk about life and living and diet and training and nutrition and running, and you can do form checks, and it's better to check in on Team Massive than to check in on Facebook. Your doctor, your mental health advocate, whatever you got would agree. So what's going on, Timothy? Good morning to you guys. Why did you choose to do twos with Rep Goal on Massive Mass? The Massive Mass program, and for those of you guys who want to check it out, not a commercial. It's just go over to superlivingtoday.com and search Massive Mass. You can also search Massive Mass on YouTube, and you can get, I believe most programs I have on YouTube for free, and I also sell the PDFs if you want a hard copy on my website. So the difference between Massive Mass as a program and other programs is that Massive Mass, we're doing 2 sets per exercise. And you generally get room for a few more exercises this way. Why did I do it? The stupid, simple answer is to give you an alternative, right? It's just simply about alternatives, giving you choices, different types of programs. With Massive Mass, what you can do is each exercise is super focused. You get 2 sets per exercise. You can expand that to 3 if you want. But the kind of the benefit of that is you can just go in, and sometimes it feels good really just to laser focus and hit 2 hard sets on an exercise and move on to the next exercise. It's kind of like good for the old ADHD, if that makes sense. There's nothing magic about it, and there's nothing magic about any of the programs that I do, but that's kind of the thinking behind it. You know, different strokes for different folks, different flavored tater chips for every different need and interest. So just a different way of doing things. All right, let me get some coffee. That's hot. I just lit up we just lit up a fresh brew here. I'm trying, this month we have a November challenge, and I posted on Instagram at the beginning of the month, and I'm not doing protein bars or energy drinks as part of the November challenge. So I'm back on the old black coffee. Blaine, is losing strength, especially at the end of a cut, guaranteed? Pretty much. I mean, if you don't have a lot of strength to begin with, there's a chance that you can continue to build strength. So it really depends on how strong you are. But if you're pretty strong or relatively strong, or spent a good year building strength, there's a good chance you're going to lose some. And no, muscle loss is over exaggerated during a cut. It's really, really hard to lose any muscle during a cut unless you're doing something radically stupid. So I would encourage you guys to set aside the fear of muscle loss. It's not really a real thing. If you're training hard, it's really, the body's not really going to lose muscle. It's not. There's a lot of fear and hype, but it's just silly. If it was the case, you wouldn't see a lot of bodybuilders on stage, natural and otherwise, looking in the shape they do. You can pick up some flatness, less glycogen, less water in the muscles, all kinds of stuff, but you're generally not losing mass. Even if you would lose an ounce or 2 on a cut, it's going to come back once you return to a bulk. Muscle memory is a real thing, so don't worry about it. Blaine went on to say, I'm training each muscle group 2 times weekly. That's fine. Just avoid training above 82.5% of your 1 rep max on a cut. We don't want to go super heavy. When you start to get in the range of 5+ reps per set, then it can get kind of hairy on a cut. You don't want to push that high. You kind of want to get your reps in and maintain your strength. All right, Timothy. Let me scroll down here. Continuing from that last question, I realize many of your programs in the book land me at a weekly volume of 63 hard sets. Correct. So having 9 sets instead of 12, the 63. Did you program this way as the program was meant for novices? No, Massive Mass is not meant for novices. Massive Mass has more exercises per day. And part of this is pragmatic. If you have 6 exercises per day at 3 sets, whatever the program is, a split or an upper lower, If you have 3 exercises per day, um, and you have, or excuse me, 6 exercises per day with 3 sets, that's 18 sets per day. 4 workouts a week would be 72 sets. Let's say on massive mass, you would have to have 9 exercises at 2 sets to hit 18. You might end up spending a little bit more time in gym because you're hopping from exercise to exercise. So depending on how you run massive mass, it's either going to be the same with 18 sets or potentially 8 exercises for 2 sets and just a little bit lower volume, if that makes sense. All right, where are we at? Sorry for the really long question. No apologies. That's what I'm here for. I want your guys' questions. Light them up, let them rip. That's why I do the live, man. The more questions, the better. Any of you guys watching that have yet to post a question on live, don't be shy. The more questions, the better. That's what I'm here for. And you're not bothering me. Let it rip. Ask all the questions you want. I'll stay on here all day. That's what this is for. All right, where are we at? Can you share a condensed version of your lifting journey? Where and how you started? Sure, absolutely. Before I was 18, I was always physically active. I just love to be active. It's what I did. I don't know why. It's just what I did. We had a school, an elementary school across the street from where we lived, and we would always go play baseball. When the boys weren't around to play baseball, I'd take a tennis racket and go hit a ball against the wall. I'd go over and shoot hoops. I would run up to 2 miles a day. I would do things called step ups. It was the 70s. I would jump rope, maybe even do aerobics. I was always active. I also had a concrete weight set, one of the concrete weights. And I would do some of that. Back in the day, I didn't really understand lifting back then. So I'd do a little bit of that. When I went to college at age 18, it was a small school in New Mexico called New Mexico Tech, Institute of Mining and Technology, a science-focused school where they really focused on astrophysics and petroleum engineering. And I was an astrophysics guy and a science and math guy. Well, the school had only about 800, 900 students at the time. And it's a smaller private school, didn't have a lot going on. They had a gym. And I didn't have a car because I was just a broke kid. So I would walk to the gym, I needed something to do. I'd go play basketball. I'd go lift. So I started lifting, right? And the English professor, Dr. Michael Gilbertson, was also a bodybuilder. And he looked great. He wasn't a roid abuser, right? But he looked thick. He looked good. He looked, about 18%, really, really muscular, 18, 19-inch arms. And he would give me little tips on how to lift, like how to train, how to approach sets, how to squat, little things like that. Around that time, I would have to walk like 2 miles to the grocery store to get my groceries because I didn't have a car. And I found a magazine at the grocery store. They had Muscle and Fitness and they had Flex, and I would pick them up. And I started reading them and sponging up this information. This is back in 86, 87 when I didn't have anything. So every book, every magazine you had was like gold, and I would read it over and over and over again and digest everything. I got a book, The Encyclopedia of Bodybuilding, with all the old school lifters, black and white pictures, Mike Mentzer and Arnold and Lou and Robbie Robinson and all those kind of guys. And I just started learning and lifting. And I didn't know about progressive overload. I just my goal was just to improve over what I did last time. I mean, I want to get strong, right? I want to get big. So, when you were on, say, 105 by 6 reps on bench, you'd go and try to do 7. That's how I approach things. And I came back to Wisconsin after 18 months. And my family was like, whoa, what happened? Right? You don't see yourself building mass during that time. You don't see yourself building mass during that time. And I came back and I had packed on a lot of mass, and people were treating me different. Even girls were treating me different, looking at me different. My confidence started to go up. I came back to school, and Dr. Mike asked me, he pulled me, my mentor, he pulled me in the corner. He asked if I'd been taking steroids. And I said, no, I wouldn't even know where to get them. I mean, it was 86, 87, right? I wouldn't know where to get steroids. I'm just a dopey kid. So that was the beginning of my lifting journey. And I would say by I don't know, 1989, I probably about 85% of my natural potential. By 1997, I was just big and strong. About 2006, I went to work as a machinist, and I ran into a guy that was doing powerlifting. Never heard of powerlifting before as a sport. He was talking about things like West Side and box squats and wide stand squats. And I went and digested that sort of stuff. I ended up getting into powerlifting, coaching powerlifting a lot, from Special Olympics to a lot of people on the platform. I started a website in 2006 called muscleandbrawn.com, just for fun. I like programming. I like the blog world. And I started a website. The forum actually grew to be one of the largest, most reputable forums in the lifting industry. And from there, I got the attention of Muscle and Strength and Female Muscle. They wanted me to write for them. I started writing for them. And then after about 5 years with Muscle and Strength, I was recruited to go to Tiger Fitness. And that kind of was the next step on my journey. So that's really about it. I've always been a lifter. Around 2000, the early years of my powerlifting, I had a lot of depression. I was involved in a marriage that wasn't good for me, and I started to eat myself heavy. It was really good for strength. I got within shouting distance of a 2,000-pound total, which at the time only 82 powerlifters in the history of the sport had. So it was a pretty good accomplishment. Personally, I felt pretty good about it. I never reached the 2,000-pound total. Diabetes nearly took my life, and that's when I started to make my body transformation. So there's the condensed version. If you guys have any questions, let me know. Mickey, what's going on, Mickey? Why don't you like training 6 days a week? Because I can't. It beats me up. After 2 days, I need rest. I like to do other things. 6 days a week training with heavy, hard sets and deep sets. I tried 5 and 6 days a week at one point, and it just literally beat up my body. So eventually, as you get stronger, it's going to beat you up. What's going on, Yvonne? Thank you, sir. Yushi, really been enjoying your lives recently. Thank you for watching. My question is, what is your take on forearm training? Do you find it necessary? Necessary? No. Here's the thing, and I'm not saying you can't do it or you shouldn't do it. I've done a little bit of it over the years. But if you're going from point A to point B and you're looking for maximum mass, okay, then your forearms and your neck are going to develop naturally during that journey. So therein, from there, you have to ask yourself, is it worth it for you to add in extra work? Because literally, if you go from point A to point B and build a lot of mass on the rest of your body, you don't need to do it. It's not necessary. I'm not telling you not to do it, but just know it's not necessary. Your neck's gonna your neck and your forearms are going to be. I've not met experienced lifters that have small necks or forearms, and most of them don't train it directly. If you're passionate about it and want to do it, understand that adding in volume right now isn't going to really dramatic. It's going to be harder to build your forearms than your arms. So if you're struggling with your arm training, just know you're in for a long journey. You have to be patient with it. It's not a quick fix. You can't just add in forearm training and then all of a sudden your forearms are growing. I mean, think of how hard it is for us just to grow our arms. So view it under that lens. Volume, I would probably do forearms twice a week and maybe 3 sets. That's all I'd give to it. You really don't need a lot more than that. You can't force rapid growth by over bloating volume. We all know this. One of the best things to do is to get a cheap wrist roller from Amazon, one of those things you do like this, and you can even keep it in your gym bag and take it to the gym. And it's a really good way to work forearms, a simple way to work forearms. All the little curly whirly things like the barbell wrist curls and crap. Sorry, they have a that's a 21 gun salute. Don't panic. There's a park right over here, and they're doing a Veterans Day celebration, and they just did the 21 gun salute. So along those lines, any veterans out there across the world, thank you for your service. So I hope that answered your question, Yushi. Hope that helped a little bit. All right, Timothy Lynn. I find that sometimes my feet start to cramp up during a set of standing calf raises. And sometimes the same thing happens with my back foot. Happens. I can't really say why it happens. Random cramps happen, and there's not usually any major cause, anything you can really do about it. It's just one of those things. The similarity I see is the position of my foot having more pressure on the ball of my foot. No idea. I don't think it's electrolytes. Sometimes it's just muscle weakness. I think that's really the case. But, as a backup, sometimes you just work a muscle hard and it's going to cramp. That's probably a good thing. I have muscles that cramp. Like whenever I do back day, my forearms want to cramp almost the rest of the day. They're just in a state of disrepair. They're a little bit down for the count, so don't panic about it. Sodium, make sure you're getting in enough sodium as a lifter. Sodium has such a crazy fear, but it is an electrolyte. And if you're a little bit under on sodium, it's going to have a tendency to impact your energy and your training performance. So just make sure you're getting in enough sodium. You want to get in your potassium as well. You can do that through avocados or broccoli or tomatoes or mushrooms. Try to get in a potassium food every day and add a little bit of salt to your foods. Thoughts on electrolyte supplements? I've taken them during running. You don't want to take an electrolyte supplement during exercise, but yeah, they're fine to supplement with outside of exercise. Jay, big hairy ugly dude, happy Veterans Day. Thank you to you and all who served. Tried to be first, but looks like Stein doesn't sleep. Stein is actually on Team Massive, so what I do is once I have the video up every day, I post a link on Team Massive and they get a head start. Excuse me. How do you program for consistency? I love lifting and try so often to prioritize it, but every time I get in a groove, something happens. The only thing I really do is allow programs that allow for some flexibility. Okay. So here's what I mean. If you are on an upper lower split that has 4 workouts, allow some flexibility to add an extra rest day. If that happens, just continue in the flow. We shouldn't really be ever taking more than a week off of lifting, for whatever reason. And if we are, it's probably more of a, we need a kick in the pants. Is this really what you like to do? Or are you more of a hobbyist? It's okay to be a hobbyist in lifting, right? Sometimes we bash on guys that kind of make no progress. But good grief, the rest of the world is obese and killing themselves with food. So anybody that actually drags their ass to a gym needs to be applauded, right? How do you program for consistency? Use a program that allows you to insert an extra rest day or two without breaking up the consistency. You want to continue to train a minimum of 2 times per week. And some weeks you just have to hold steady workouts. You have to allow yourself a little bit of flexibility as far as that goes. All right. Where are we at? Sorry, I keep bouncing back and forth. Paul, let's make this Friday count. Massive honor. Thanks, Paul. Thanks for joining in. Appreciate it. Paul's a client of mine. Victor, an interesting 2001 study on frequency versus splits found hypertrophy gains to be superior on splits, whereas strength gains were superior on full body. One-off studies like that, we have to look at. Most of these are done on untrained individuals. Okay, so we have to understand that they don't really tell us a lot. Untrained individuals, are not, are not the best pool. It's easier to see strength gains in a short period of time rather than muscle gains, because muscle gains are smaller in nature, where it's easier to say I gained 20 pounds on my bench in 3 months. So when you look at the meta-analysis of this stuff or all the studies combined, what we found is that, hypertrophy, it really doesn't matter. And even guys like Menno Henselman, I've shared on my Instagram their quotes saying it, from what we know of meta-analysis, it doesn't matter. And this is somebody that likes to do full body 5 days a week. So I will tell you, it doesn't matter for strength. Like, let's frame that for the 98% of us that are just trying to get to a 315-pound bench, a 400 squat, and a 500 deadlift. None of this stuff matters. It doesn't, because in the long run, to get to a 345 total, it takes a heck of a lot of consistency, a really good diet, and a lot of drive and passion. And regardless of what program you use, that's what it's going to take to get there. It's not going to be based on your program. These folks that they're studying, they're never going to get to a 345 total. So a little snapshot where they're being studied and they're under pressure and motivation has been infused into them. Like, let's put it this way. You're an average schmuck like me, you, or anybody else. And we go to the gym and we're training and no one's watching us. No one's monitoring us. We're going to do what we do, right? All of a sudden, you introduce a variable where everything you do is being analyzed, and your motivation, your focus is going to increase naturally. So take that away, and these schmucks aren't going to, are going to run back into the same struggles we are, trying to get to a 345 total. And split's not going to matter. That's not the thing that's going to carry you forward. What's going to carry you forward is really your passion, your drive, and wanting it. And whatever split or approach you're on isn't going to matter at all. And one study, in that light, doesn't matter at all. Carlton, how's it going, Carlton? One of my clients. Thanks for tuning in. Drive safe and hope the weather's nice here in Ohio. We got rain. Happy Veterans Day. Thank you, sir, and I appreciate that. Thank you for serving your country, big, hairy, ugly dude. I appreciate that. I posted on Instagram, and if you guys don't mind me taking a second to share a story, and I'll try not to get choked up. I'm going to show you guys my father. And if I can find it, let's see. Hold on. Let me pull it up. Hold on one second. I'm trying to present the screen. Where are you? There you're at. All right. So that's my father. My father served 2 tours in Vietnam and came back pretty messed up. He's no longer with us, but he came back from Vietnam and he was pretty messed up, mentally, really violent alcoholic. And we had a rocky relationship, for a very, very long time. But we repaired our relationship when I was in my 40s. I'm proud to say we both sucked it up and matured a little bit. And my father is no longer with us, but he served 2 tours in Vietnam. His father served in the Korean War, and his father in World War II or World War I, I don't recall. So I'm proud to say that I'm in a family with a long line of serving our country. I appreciate everybody that took time out of their life to serve their country. Happy Remembrance Day, happy Veterans Day, wherever you're at. You know, just want to say thank you. All right, where are we at? Let's pull the. Boop, there we go. Victor, I was going to ask if training more than 12 sets of muscle group in a single session was manageable. It can be. You can, sometimes if the energy's there, you can add a little bit more in. Forget the study, Victor. Forget the study. If you are in the gym and your energy is high and your passion's high on that day, do 3 more sets. Forget studies. Forget studies. The studies that say the studies that were showing that high volume, there's a study by Brad Schoenfeld, and even Jeffrey Verity Schofield talks about this in a recent video, where the high volume said they were training to failure on high volume. That would kill you. The meta-analysis doesn't agree with that at all. It does not. No one can train with that much volume. Plus, it's not pragmatic. It's not. You're going to have a lot of junk volume, so don't do it. Don't do it. You can add more in on any given day if you want, if you have the energy or drive or focus. Vinny P, a client of mine, what's up? Glad to catch a bit of this today. It's been madness at work. Hang tough. Vinny works like 80 hours a week, and I feel for him. How normal is it to bounce back and forth to wanting to be as strong as possible? It's pretty normal, dude. Once, I kind of always trained for muscle, and strength was a driver of muscle. And then when I found out about powerlifting, it was like you bounce back and forth, right? The best thing to do is to treat your off season like power building, and then to have a season where you're kind of peaking and doing lower rep stuff. So you want to kind of bounce back and forth naturally as part of your training. You want to build a base with a base for strength that involves like a power building off season. So hope that helps you guys a little bit. Big Tom, the recent deadlift form video was awesome. Had a lot of high hips or hips shooting up. It is a very, very common mistake. I made a video where I was critiquing your deadlift form. The first thing to understand, like hip discipline, okay, when you get your hips in place on a deadlift, if your shoulders are over the bar, like directly over the center of the bar, when you pull, your shoulders are going to move forward a little bit, and then your hips are going to have a tendency to go with it. If your shoulders are too far forward over the bar and you pull, you're in a bad leverage position and your hips are going to come up. So the biggest thing you can do, or your hips are going to want to come up, the biggest thing you can do to prevent your hips from getting out of control on the deadlift is to be aware of it. Be aware that you got to brace your core and fight to keep those hips in place. Well, the first few inches, you're pulling the weight off the ground. So here's your hips, okay? And my finger up here is your head. When you initiate the deadlift, you want to do this. So your hips aren't moving. You want to pull up those first 3-4 inches. You're in a much better leverage position. You're gaining speed. You're gaining drive. From there, you think about standing up, driving your head up, and those hips will kind of move while you're doing that. So the hips will come up. The first 3 or 4 inches, we're driving up. Then the hips are going to come up. So that's what you want to fight the hips, the first 3 or 4 inches off the ground. The deadlift will feel slower off the ground generally when you do this, but you'll be maintaining good leverages and you'll be accelerating. Does that make sense? Awareness and discipline and fighting those hips. Rico, how's it going? Rico, AD big AD big. Woo time for live. Any replacement for face pulls? Absolutely. Face pulls as a rear delt exercise are one of my least favorite because at some point you start leaning back because you're adding weight. You move up in weight. Now you got to lean back more, and you move up in weight and you got to lean back more, right? So not saying they're bad. They just can be tricky and you can use them effectively. Rear delt flies, when you do those, focus on driving the elbow back, right? It doesn't matter where your hand is and position your elbow, but you just really want to focus on driving the elbow back. When you do this, you should be able to feel the rear delts. I can feel my rear delts when I do that. You can also do rear delt swings, and I don't have time to show a video in this live, but Google rear or YouTube rear delt swings. Those are a really good exercise as well. Beyond that, get your damn rows strong, your dumbbell rows and barbell rows. That'll build up a huge 80% of your rear delt size. Big Rusty Shackelford. To deal with strength loss during a cut, do you recommend reducing weight? No. Just don't train above 82%, 82.5% of your one rep max. Basically, don't go lower than 6 reps. If you are, you need to kind of lower the weight a little bit and do a little bit higher reps. But you don't want to do really intense sets, really low rep sets, because here's the thing, when your body has less glycogen, less energy, and less resources, and you're trying to do the same weight as before, but here you have less glycogen and calories and resources, and your hormones might be a little bit down because of what you're doing on a cut. Even though you might have the muscular strength to handle that weight on a cut, with all those things in kind of a deficit, it's going to increase the injury risk slightly, and we don't want to do that. So stick to 6 rep sets and above. But don't go light. You still want to push a little bit. The key on a cut is steal the easy reps. Steal the easy reps, okay? If you're on rep 9 of a bicep curl set and like, oh, I can get rep 10, take rep 10. If you're on rep 9, you're like, oh, man, it was really, really difficult. Don't push for rep 10. Save that for when you get back on a bulk. Steal the easy reps on a cut. Big Josh, your opinion of body shaping certain muscles you want to develop rather than others. Let me process this. Body shaping, you mean like a specialization program, Josh? I assume you mean like a specialization program. I have no problem with specialization programs. We have to understand the nature of specialization programs, and that we're going to do more sets or more work over a short period of time. You want to kind of limit that window to about 3 months. So if you're going to do a specialization, you want to do a specialization for about 3 months, do a little bit extra volume, and then get off, because you're going to kind of encourage overreaching or overworking that muscle in a short period of time. That's okay, right? That's okay. But I wouldn't do it more than 3 months, and then I'd kind of return to normal training or move on to a different type of specialization. I'm not sure if that answered your question. So let me know if it did. If not, rephrase it and I'll hit it up again. Jason, is there a percentage of my barbell lift that I should be looking to achieve when using dumbbells? Let's look at this a little bit. Let me get some coffee. All right, so I used a sling. Let's look at bench. I'm gonna fly around here. What are you doing? I used the slingshot on bench, so the numbers are with a slingshot. I understand that. My heavy sets on bench were about 315, 335 by 10. And on a dumbbell bench, 140 by 10. So the combined dumbbell weight was about 280 by 10. And the barbell weight was like 315-ish by 10. They should be pretty close. On the bench, your dumbbell bench should be pretty close. It might be a little over, might be a little under. On dumbbell rows, though, your dumbbell row work should be a little bit over of what a Pendley row would be. So not really. It's not a formula. They should be in the same ballpark, maybe plus or minus 15%. Does that make sense? I would say plus or minus 15%. What we got, Pringle Cake. Big old Pringle cake. Is some cheating on barbell rows okay? All right, here's the thing on a barbell row. Your torso on a row, whether you're doing pendlay or barbell row, you don't want to see more than a little bit of torso sway. Okay. If your torso is doing this, then the weight's probably too heavy and you're probably just really sloppy and not bracing. So physics will tell us that when we're pulling, there's an equal and opposite, force. So you're going to see but leverages, when you're pulling on a row, it's hard to drive that weight up and not have the body seek a little bit better leverage position. That's basically what it's doing. So a little bit of torso sway on a barbell row is okay. When you on a barbell row, you want to focus on driving your elbows back. Okay, so you're in the middle of a set, you're driving the elbows back, and all of a sudden you hit a rep where you do right, where it's kind of like halfway up, you kind of peg out. That's form failure. That's the point where you stop counting reps. That one rep where you're cruising along, boom, 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 and all of a sudden, right? You can get it up, but you lost speed. Count that rep, but that's where you stop counting. Can you do cheat reps after that point? Yes, you can. So you get that rep up halfway. As long as you're driving the elbow back, you're getting some back work. So if you want to do 2 or 3 cheat reps on barbell rows and your lower back can handle it, by all means. Is some cheating on barbell rows okay? Yeah. Forget about the machining cable row thing, but absolutely just use the guidelines I gave you and you'll be fine. I tried glute ham raises today. F you. Thank you. Anytime I can get an FU out of you guys, I know I'm on track, right? I don't think I even had a rep with correct form. Should I keep trying, or is there any good replacement? All right. So let me find this. Hold on one second. Glute ham. I got to make sure I mute it, because if I have any music on here, YouTube will have a heart attack and want to demonetize the channel and all that kind of good stuff. Hold on. If you guys want to work your hamstrings, I want you guys to see this. So give me 1 second to find this video. All right. I found the video. Let me mute the stuff in the thing. Mute it. Make it bigger. And hold on, I got to skip past the ads, so you guys don't need to see the ads. Okay, so I have found it, and let me share the video. Present, share screen, application window. And where are you at? Okay, can you see this guy? I'm gonna move this off. Can you see this guy? He is on a glute hammer, like a back extension machine. On a back extension, this is probably the easiest place to the regular glute hams or Nordic curls are going to be really, really difficult to do. So on a back extension machine, you can come upright, see where his knees are. If you just do the back extension part where you're going straight, like I can't do it on the screen, but if you just come to where his torso is straight, it's all lower back. But if you go more upright and try to bring your head more over your knees, then the last bit is a hamstring curl. So you can do, does that make sense? You can do those on a back extension machine. Big old Nad Pad. Hey Steve, long time no see. Have you ever going to stream with Robert again? No. Definitely not. No hard feelings against Robert. He went his own way. I tried to reach out to him last year. And I don't know. I don't know where his headspace is in. So no, it's mostly I just want to stick to my own thing and not deal with anybody else. Michael, morning, big hairy ugly dude. Morning, Michael. Thanks for tuning in. Big Josh, just started those lateral raises. You do amazing delt burn. Thanks. Those are called bulldozer laterals for anybody who wants to check them out. And AD Big says bulldozer laterals are the truth. Should we? I was going to pull them up, but let me see if I can do that. Hold on, folks. Hold on. We'll see if I can pull up a video. You search bulldozer laterals. Usually get the older one for me first. There we go. There we go. I found the video. Whoa, did I know? Nope. Let me mute this guy. Let me see if I can find it and share it. Let me see if I can share it. Let me see if I can backtrack. All right, hold on. Got it, and I'm going to try to share it. Hold on, folks. I don't know if I can share the screen. Share screen. Application window. There you go. Okay, so this is a bulldozer lateral. You start with a dumbbell on your opposite hip. You catch it there. You drive the elbow up to move it. Boom. Catch it, drive the elbow. Boom. Catch it, drive the elbow. Boom. Okay, and I was talking about the upright row. So that's basically a bulldozer lateral. Jimmy, appreciate the deadlift feedback this week. You bet. Thank you for allowing me to help you guys. I appreciate it. Been lifting for 15 months now, wanting to bulk, but weight gaining is very slow. I'm hitting plus ones. Do I need to worry or change anything? Weight gain, you probably need to eat more food. You want to bulk about 10 pounds. Set a 10-pound limit over the course of 3, 4, or 5 months. So you want to bulk about 10 pounds over 3, 4, 5 months. Once you reach that 10-pound stage, then it's time to do an analysis. Do I want to bulk another 5 pounds, or do I want to do a mini cut? And a mini cut should be super fast, super quick, get it over with, and move on and get back to the bulk. But if your weight gain is slow, you need to get on track with that. Not being hard on you, but if you're not eating enough, you're just leaving gains on the table. And don't be that guy. Big Joe G, training full body, progression sets, reps on bench, overhead press, If I keep progressing, any reason to stop? Do you need variation? Variation can have some benefits for hypertrophy. If you just focus on a muscle group with 2 exercises, adding a little bit of variation, 3 or 4 or 5 every 2 weeks is not a bad idea. So on the peripheral, stupid fly, sorry, on the, there he is, on the, kind of the secondary exercises. Let's say you're doing bench press and then you do a dumbbell bench. You could alternate week 1, dumbbell bench, week 2, incline dumbbell bench, or week 1, dumbbell bench, week 2, dips, something like that. So you could work in some A-B variation. I don't like to go more than 2 weeks away from a secondary exercise, but you can work in some A-B variation. It's good for, it's good mentally because you get some variety and programming isn't going to be as stale. And it's probably good for hypertrophy as well. What do you think about full body days? Made many videos, have many full body workouts. No real commentary. They're fine. The only thing about a full body workout is if you're training 3 days a week, it makes it harder to have shorter workouts. Something just drove by, a big tractor. I'm not sure what's going on. It makes it harder to have shorter workouts. I'm not saying you can't do full body work, but darn it, I have a little fly around here who's trying to be Captain Disruptive. You can certainly do full body workouts. Just know that they can have a tendency to take longer in the gym. Thoughts on high pulls being better than power shrugs? Not better. I would definitely not say they're better. I would say both. Both is usually the best answer when it comes to questions like this. HB, is it true most 70s bodybuilders only train 6 days per week? These guys were pretty hardcore, but I don't know that they train 6 days per week or during contest prep. I don't know. You hear a lot of stories about that stuff. I've been reading about old bodybuilding myths and heard someone suggest that only training. I don't know. It's going to come down to lifter by lifter basis. That's just use common sense. Anybody that on the internet or in a book or whatever frames it like every bodybuilder in the 70s trained 6 days a week during contest prep. It's probably stretching things because there's far too many bodybuilders to say that would be, that they're all lockstepping. You can't get 5 lifters nowadays to lockstep. So there was probably some common beliefs to increase frequency, to bring out muscle definition, but there could be something to that, but I don't know. Definitely nothing that I know specific could give you a specific answer on. Big Mike, Bang energy drinks filed for Chapter 11 once they found out you gave up. Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, I do Monster. Unfortunately for Bang, Monster might have filed for Chapter 11. Bad at naming. I'm new to weight training. Is there any point to full body days? Only if you enjoy them. If you do boxing, you're probably better off doing an upper posterior, upper lower, upper posterior. Check out the upper posterior workout in my workouts tab at Super Living Today. Those are better, in my opinion, than full body because you have an upper, you have a posterior, you have an upper posterior, and you can kind of frame those a little bit better around if you're doing martial arts, around those martial arts days, in my opinion. You can certainly do full body, but you just have to be smart about when you train. Waddington Speech, thoughts on high potent. Oh, we already did that one. John Paul, when bulking, is it okay to eat maintenance one day? No, don't do that. Don't do that. Do not do this. Way overthinking. You're trying to minimize fat gain that isn't going to occur. Muscles are recovering 24 hours a day when you're bulking. You need your calories consistent. Don't do this. Don't do that. People tend to do this because they fear they're going to get fat on a bulk. If your bulk is so rapid, this is just an unfounded fear. Try to gain 10 pounds over the course of 3, 4, 5 months. Do a mini cut. Keep the calories consistent and don't do this to yourself. You're going to have an up and down. It's going to toss in too many crazy variables. Your pressing is going to suffer, and you'll hate life. Jason Argyle, is it my imagination that I look and feel better training 3 days a week versus 6? The more after 2 hard days of training, whether it's running or muscle building, I feel tired. So yeah, you could feel better training. It's likely you feel better training fewer days per week. I doubt it. You look better. Jason, you're ugly no matter what. Right? Just humor, folks. You're ugly no matter what, Jason. So how frequently you train isn't going to impact how pretty or ugly you are. You might have a little bit more inflammation if you train more often, constant inflammation. Eric, YouTube didn't notify me. Shocker there, right? That's YouTube's. Big Charles Sloan, how necessary is higher step count per day when bulking? It's not. But if you're only doing if you're under 3,000 steps per day, it's really going to drive your metabolism into the old tankarooski. So if you keep steps more around 7,500 per day, it's going to be good for health, which is our number one priority. Health is more important than muscle. We want both, but if you're big and you're dead, you're still dead, right? If you're strong and you're dead, you're still dead, right? So health is the main priority. You want to keep steps about 7,500, and you need to get out and walk for health. That'll also allow you to eat a little bit more per day without driving your appetite way up, right? I don't feel any more or less hungry when I do 7,500 steps a day compared to 3,000. So try to get that in. As a coach, I can tell you, folks that only get 3,000 steps in a day, really, really take a hit on the old metabolism side of things. Invisible, how's it going? LB King, what's your recommended rep range for RDLs? Good question. A lot of this depends on how strong your lower back is. If your lower back has a tendency to, if it feels weak or has a tendency to be thrown out, or you have a tendency to pick up a lot of lower back stress, you probably want to reduce the amount of RDL stress you're doing. But if you go lower reps, that's going to be heavier weight. You do higher reps, you're going to have more reps. So basically, a lot of it can come down to weekly tonnage and how that tonnage feels on your lower back. I have a tendency to only do 2 sets for RDLs. And when I'm coaching folks, I have a tendency to ask them, how are 3 sets of RDLs feeling for you? And we move it down to 2 sets. So whatever feels good on your lower back, go for it. That's what I'll say. Go for it. All right, where are we at? Keep the questions coming, guys. We're about an hour in. I'll stay on as long as you guys have questions. Just a quick commercial. Check out my website, superlivingtoday.com. If you want coaching, check the coaching tab. I'm not a check-in once a week guy. Coaching is what I do for a living. Before I got on here, I was coaching. When I get off here, I'll be coaching till 5 o'clock today. And I'm with my clients 6 days a week. If you need a workout, there's a workout tab at my website. Tons of workout options. And if you just search this video and want them or this channel, you want them for free, they're here for free. You can also get things like a phone consult. If you want more hands-on stuff, you can get a custom workout. I have a training app with about 15 of my top programs in it. Yes, you can check out the training app, right? And what else do I got over there? I have supplements. I have whey protein and I have creatine. You can see the creatine right there. And I have 2 flavors of whey protein. I'm not in the supplement game to make money. I make a couple bucks off each one. Yes, I don't really care if you buy it or not. They're quality products. They taste great. And if you want to support one of the little guys and not one of the big supplement monsters, head over to my website. Eric, happy Friday. Thank you, sir. Aberrant. What can I do if you forget to eat? If you forget to eat, you got to plan. You got to plan. Okay. So all of us watching are now asking what to do if I forget to eat and I'm headed to the gym. You need to keep something in your gym bag as a fail-safe. Okay. Might not be the best option, but you need to keep it in your gym bag. I don't care if it's a nasty granola bar, something with a few carbohydrates, something that won't sit heavy in your stomach, a protein bar, a 300, 350 calorie protein bar, a Cliff Bar, one of those 20 grams of protein Cliff Bars. Keep something in your gym bag or something in your car in case you fail. Plan in case of failure. Always have a plan. All right, where are we at? On one program, you have dumbbell curls followed immediately by easy bar curls. How do you get through 6 straight sets of curls? I mean, let's put it this way. If 6 sets of curls are hard for you, you are lacking in work capacity. I've done 9 or 12. It's just bringing up work capacity. That's just the way it works. Some of you guys have been trapped, and I'm not being critical here, but you've been trapped so long in the frequency that you don't know what it's like to hammer one body part. That's not criticism, but anything that's a new stimulus is going to be harder for someone. So you just suck it up. You suck it up and drive on. Robert, do you think it's reasonable to expect a male who is 180 pounds and over to bench 225 within 6 months? No. Oh, wait, within 6 months to a year of training, bench 275. No, it's not the normal. It's definitely not the normal. I started at my weight 155, and after 18 months, 2 years, I was like 185. So I gained like 30 pounds in weight in 2 years. During that time, I got up to like 275 by 4 in 2 years. So the second part, it's possible to get up to 275. It's going to be super, super rare. So all these are going to be super rare. Most guys don't get up to 315 ever. Most guys don't get up to 275 ever. So it really depends on the individual. It really, really does. But it's rare. Not impossible, rare. Jimmy, I really enjoyed hearing your story. I just assumed I knew your journey from listening. No, I appreciate it. And you guys have any questions about my lifting, just let me know. I try to be transparent with everything. What's the best way to increase barbell squat strength? Form. Working on form. And the best way to work on form is obviously to have somebody that knows form to help you. And to be patient. You don't want to push your sets. I always left a couple reps in the tank. If you push deep on squats, too deep on squats, you're going to end up torching your lower back. So patience, a good consistent bulking strategy, and really, really getting your form down. Form is the key. Once you can become natural with form, it's like putting down a really good highway. You can just kind of cruise. Big Brandon Wong, how many chin-ups can you do, and what do you think of them compared to lat pull-downs? Both of these types of exercises are going to be hard to progress on for the average individual. There are some of you guys that can really crush pull-ups. But in general, working with clients, I can tell you pull-ups and lat pull-downs, pull-ups are an exercise that you progress slowly at, most people. So you really have to be patient with pull-ups. For those of you watching, a chin-up is palms away from your face. A pull-up is this way, and you also have neutral grip pull-ups. Most of you would be better off doing a neutral grip pull-up. Your leverage is going to be a little bit better, and you're probably going to be able to do a couple more reps. When I was younger and lighter, I could knock them out easy, weighted, no problem. And then I got away from them for a very, very long time in my training, only because I think the gyms that I was training at really didn't have pull-up stations. They had the squat rack was one of those steppy ones without a top to the cage, where you have kind of these big notches in them, all the way up. So there wasn't really a pull-up station for about 10 years. I didn't really do them. Lat pull-downs are going to be like this. Your first 2 years, you're going to move up, 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 and then a hard wall. Lat pull-downs, I don't think I've progressed in like 20 years. They can be super frustrating, and they're an exercise where you can easily hit your ceiling very, very quickly. Nicholas, do you feel at some age you just maintain forever? Well, you get to a point where, when you're about at 80% of your muscle gains, things move slowly and you don't really realize or see a lot of rapid progress. So it can mess with you a little bit. I wouldn't really say you're maintaining. As long as you're training, you're probably adding a little bit. Someone asked me yesterday, once you get to close to your natural potential, what happens? And I mentioned that even if you're close to your natural potential, you're going to have a lagging muscle group or two. Maybe you didn't train your calves. Maybe you didn't train your hammies, right? Maybe you didn't really focus on your traps. So you're going to have some muscle groups that have potential to bring them up. So I would say about the last 5% of your natty potential really comes down to how bad do you want to work those muscle groups that you've kind of been under training. Does that make sense? Big J, just finished my workout for the day. Nice work. Now I can eat and watch a show. Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate that. Thanks for the info to join Team Massive, my early Christmas present. Thank you guys for joining in. Team Massive is going to change a little bit next year. And for those of you guys that get in before the first of the year, it's still going to be a $99 lifetime fee. Now, don't crap your pants at 99 bucks. It's a gated community, which makes it a lot better. And this is before January 1st, 99 bucks. You get it for lifetime. You can ask me forum videos every single week. You can ask me questions every single day, right? So I can give you help, as much help as you want, and that's for life. When it comes to January 1st, Team Massive is going to go to a monthly subscription so people can come in and come out. Big Victor, what's your take on muscle volume per session? Do you agree with people who say there is a cap per session? I made a video about this. I made a lot of videos about this, Victor, and I'm not being dismissive, but I talk about 12 sets per major muscle group. I'm going to show you guys something, so hold on one second, okay? Don't go anywhere. Watch this. If you don't have Instagram, you can still check this out. My Instagram is @BenTheBarman. I'm going to show you a post that I made, if I can scroll back and find it. I made a post recently, and I'm about to show you guys. And head over to Instagram. It's just a little bit of a scroll down, not a major scroll. I'm going to remove Victor for a second. Check out this post. Okay, it's a real simple post on the gram, and you can see 72 hard sets. It explains over here what I'm talking about. 12 hard sets for chest, delts, back, I go into it on that Instagram post, and I have a lot of videos on this channel. So don't, whenever you say some people or whatever, ignore that. There's no cap of 10 sets. That's imaginary unicorn fairy tale nonsense made up by someone. It's not a rule. There are plenty of lifters that do more than that. So don't worry about it. Aberrant, can you do cardio and lifting on the same day? Absolutely. You can do cardio first thing in the morning and then lifting later in the day. You want to have a window of like 3 or 4 hours so you can get in a meal, rest a little bit, and feel ready to go. Or you can do it after lifting. You might feel a little flat after lifting, so you might want to have a protein shake or half a banana or something just to kind of refresh some of that, glycogen a little bit. So maybe some simple sugars, but you can do them on the same day. Brendan, good front squat, 10 rep max standard. I would say if you get to 225 by 10, most people never get there. It sounds a little bit low. I don't see a lot of guys getting to 275 by 10. In fact, I can't even remember when I've ever seen that. There's some, other than the big hitting lifters, but like from the average lifter. Should I squat if I have back pain? Well, we have to kind of figure out what's causing the back pain, right? We have to kind of figure out what's the issue. Is it your squat form? Is it your deadlift form? Like, if we stop squatting or deadlifting because our form is bad, and I don't know that your form is bad, but bear with me. If you stop squatting or deadlifting because your form is bad, that would be the same as not doing mountain biking anymore because you keep driving straight at trees, right? Or I'm going to quit bowling because I keep aiming at the gutter, right? I know, silly silliness, but if your form is wrong, you need to work on form. There's a cause of the back pain. If it's not squats or deads, then you probably need to see a doctor and get that squared away. Delete your comments of what he's going to say. Don't delete any comments. Look, I'm going to tell you something. Don't come on my fucking channel and tell people to delete comments if they know what I'm going to say. In fact, I'd rather have you unfollow my channel, because I don't need idiots and assholes telling people, my community, what to do. So go fuck off. Okay. How's that? Go fuck off. This is my channel. I'm here to help, and I want all your questions. So I'm going to give you another chance because I answered your damn question. So screw it. I won't block you, but don't do that. I don't know what I don't know what you're doing. Later on, you say, I feel like I'm at a college class. I'm not trying to be hard here. I'm just a little confused what you're trying to do. Maybe you can clarify. Maybe I was a little bit too hard. I don't know. Sorry. Steel Rat goes to Jim. Glad to catch you live. Thank you. Do you think there are times to pull back a bit, leave some reps in the tank? There can be. I mean, it's like you want to do probably one hard set per exercise per week. Or per exercise, not per week. But there are times when maybe a muscle is down or whatever, and you're just not feeling it. Where you can leave a little bit and just kind of do hold steady. Maybe 80% of the workouts you really want to be some concerted effort with progressing, and maybe give yourself some room for 20% to hold steady if you're not feeling it on any given day. Josh says, I meant by body, and I apologize for the comment before. Sometimes it's hard to understand, what if somebody's, telling your community not to post questions. I don't like that stuff on my channel. So if I misunderstood you, I'm sorry. If I understood you correctly and you're telling people to delete their comments, then I'd rather have you unfollow my channel. You guys can post the same questions every week, because here's the thing. Before I get into Josh's questions, I want to get in a little bit of rant, and I'll stay calm. Day of forums, right? You would get these guys that, like, somebody would ask a question that's been asked a question 1,000 times before. And you would get these forum guys that would be like, search, right? Telling people just to search the internet, just to search, like, hey, this is my forum. This is my channel. And you know what? One thing I know, there's a constant army of new lifters that haven't heard this question 1,000 times before. And I am here to help you. Right? So the search, just go search or delete your question. We've heard it 1,000 times. No, post up your questions. There are no dumb questions. I don't care if it's a question has been answered 1,000 times before, or you think it's too simple. I'm here to help you where you're at. All right, Josh, I meant by body shaping, like how Arnold focused more on chest and arms. Yeah, I guess I don't have any issue with that. If that's that's kind of bodybuilding, at its heart, and in the modern landscape, we don't talk about that a lot because most people have a hard enough time just building muscle. At the upper levels of bodybuilding, focusing on things like that to build a better appearance, 100%. But that's stuff for guys that are at the top of the rung. Is it normal that I only added 20 pounds on my bench in the same period I've had? Yeah, absolutely normal. Just might mean that one, you're really in a nice groove, and another might be more challenging. Nice video about gym bag, by the way. Thank you. I appreciate you watching that. About the bench slingshot, does it only make sense to use it once you have a really heavy weight? I like to keep one in the gym bag. If you're having an off day where your shoulders are feeling off, you can slap it on. Now, I have clients that don't have a really, really strong bench that use a slingshot. So it provides overload. It can provide shoulder support. It's probably a good tool for men over 40, either way. So it doesn't really matter. I think it's a good idea to get one and play around with it. All right. What resource is best for learning proper form? The best, I'm going to be honest with you, and this is going to sound like a commercial, but the best resource is a good coach. And look, there's a lot of coaches out there that are good bodybuilding programming coaches, but not also good form coaches. So am I the best form coach on planet Earth? No. But I will tell you, I see thousands. That's not an exaggeration. I see over 1,000 form videos a year, and you can watch my deadlift form video I made a couple days ago if you are curious how that works. But I see over 1,000 form videos a year, and I'm used to looking for nuance. I'm used to looking for small things. So the best resource, you asked the best. A training video is good because it can point you in the right direction, right? So let's say you want to build muscle, you want to become an ultra runner, whatever you want to do. You can be pointed in the right direction with a video. There's a lot of good videos out there that can point you in the right direction. Here's tip 1, tip 2, tip 3, tip 4. When you're in the gym, though, when something's broken and you don't know how to improve it because you've watched the form video, the best resource is a coach. Now, look, a coach that knows form. Every one of you, if you are serious, should have a coach at some point during your life. You should. A coach that knows form, whether it's in person or on the net. If you join Team Massive, and you can join it over here, you can send 4 form videos a week. One on the bench, one on the squat, one on the dead, and one some other lift for a one-time fee. So you can pay a one-time fee, and that's what you get. You can also do coaching with a 3-month commitment with me. You don't have to use me, but use somebody that knows good form, because that is, to answer your question, I'm not trying to turn this into a commercial, but that's the honest truth. That is the best when learning form. NADPAD, what's your opinion on hammer strength chest machines? I have a plate loaded chest machine in my gym, and I like it. And here's why. We're talking chest, okay? We're talking chest. When it comes to chest, there aren't a lot of quality exercise variations. Let's look at back, for example. Let's look at legs. Back, you can do barbell rows, dumbbell rows, deadlifts, T-bar rows, Meadows rows, seated cable rows, lat pull downs, pull-ups, machine rows, chest supporter row. A lot of variation to hammer your back, a lot of variety. Legs, you can do squats, you can do front squats, you can do leg presses, you can do hack squats, you can do leg extensions, you can do Bulgarian split squats, you can do lunges. You have a lot of tools in your tool bag. On chest, you have bench, you have dumbbell bench. You have the incline variation, maybe the decline variation. You have dips, and that's about it, unless you do machines, right? You can toss in the Smith, you can toss in the hammer strength, you can toss in the plate load. I think they're good options. I do. Bad at naming, back with a tantrum. Why in the hell is my question I deleted still on the screen? I don't own YouTube, man, so I don't know. Eli, what do you do? Some people's kids, right? What do you do when your reps are dropping from session to session as a novice? 135 when doing backloading. What do you do when your reps are dropping from session to session? Occasionally that'll happen, randomly for no reason. You might be a little bit stressed, glycogen depleted, your immune system might be a little bit struggling, whatever. So it can happen occasionally. So don't panic when it happens occasionally. If it happens constantly, repeatedly, either your forms kind of need some work, or maybe your nutrition is off. So those would be the first 2 places I would look at. You want me to look at form, I'd be glad to look at form. And Eli, thank you for the donation. I appreciate it. Eli, if you want more help, if you want me to look at form, you don't have to join Team Massive. You can send a form video on Instagram up in the barman. I'd be happy to take a look at that for you. Just make sure it's not shaky cam. Harut, happy Friday. And Carrie, how's it going? Carrie, thank you. Thanks to veterans and happy Veterans Day. Thank you, Carrie. I appreciate that. Steel Rat goes to the old Jim Aruski. Do you count calories? Not on an app, but in my head. Every single day I have an awareness of my calories. Macros, no. I focus on protein. Um, I focus on avoiding junk carbs as much as possible, except for, I'm human. I do what I want to do. Sometimes I have pizza, beer, whatever. So I always have an idea how many calories I've had. Today I've had zero. I know. I monitor my calories internally. Does everyone have to do that? No. I'm a recovering binge eater, and I have that eating disorder in my world. So I need some monitoring. I need some self monitoring. So I always have an eye on my calories. I can't intuitively eat because I'll eat too much every damn day. I know where my protein is. Really, I don't count it, but I know where my protein is because I've just been doing this for 38 years. So you said, could you share your experience with getting in the right amount of food on a bulk? A bulk almost has to be more precise than a cut. Hear me out. On a bulk, you want to gain 10 pounds over 3, 4, 5 months. So you can have stray days and cheat days and wild days and beer days, right? But you have to be focused on having consistent calories on a bulk so that scale is moving up. Okay? So you almost have to have some idea. On a cut, you can have high protein levels and your calories could vary from 1500 to 2200 on any given day. So there's a little bit more of a range. You can even bring your calories up to maintenance when you have a little bit of diet fatigue. So on a cut, the only thing to understand is you want to have your protein as high, as close to 40% of your macros as possible. Why? Well, it focuses you, it'll help you with food volume. Okay. If your daily calories are 35 to 40% from protein, then there's not a lot of room for junk food, for alcohol, for fast food, for highly palatable foods. More of your food is going to be lean protein sources. So we're going to end up getting more food volume that way. So that's something to consider on a cut. All right, keep the questions coming, guys. We're an hour and 23 in. I'll stay on as long as you guys have questions. I got about 10, 15 left, so consider this the last call. What are your thoughts on heavy bicep curls as a way to grow? I don't think of things in terms of heavy. I think in terms of progression, getting heavier. So low rep sets, you can do some low rep sets. I wouldn't probably do more than 2 sets of 6 reps on any curl, and then I would get in some volume beyond that. AD Big, the value for $99 is fantastic. That's for Team Massive. So thank you. I appreciate that. Team Massive is for life, or as long as I live. All right. For life, or as long as you live, or as long as I live, whichever comes first. Even for a piker like me. Eli, what do you think about microloading with backloading? Microloading a lift is fine. Some lifts are harder to, whether you microload or load normally, you are going to end up at the same place, as long as you have a progression approach. Don't know what you mean about backloading, so maybe you can explain a little bit. Big Max Brimmer, good mornings or RDLs? Good mornings, I would leave off the table for hypertrophy, unless you're doing the bodybuilding style of good morning. When you want to get in a couple sets for your lower back. If you are like a more intermediate-ish strength training, good mornings aren't a bad thing to play around with and see if you like. Christian, I have a tendency to go to or close to failure at every set except for the big compound lifts. No, it's not a bad habit at all. Just listen to your body. and give yourself the freedom on any set to stop or cut that set down if anything feels off. And give yourself, even if you just do one set per day like that, it's going to be beneficial. Aurelio, what's your opinion on 1 rep max calculators? I'm trying to get to 315 on bench. I use a 1 rep max calculator every single day. And let me pull up the one I use. I use it to kind of figure out clients' lifts at times. Here we go. I'll share the screen. This is at strengthlevel.com, my favorite 1 rep max calculator. Share screen. So it's pretty accurate. Once you get into the 35 range, though, the thing is, like, your connective tissue and tendons might not be up to speed. So let's say you do 135 for 15. Calculate your max at like 205, right? That's probably pretty close. The higher you get in reps over 12, the more chance you might have to spend a month or two doing some heavier work, meaning a little bit lower rep range, so maybe 6 to 8s, something 5 to 8s, to kind of bring that connective tissue up to speed a little bit. 135 by 35, you're kind of getting close to the 300-pound. If you bring your connective tissue up and kind of peak, I have a thing on my website where you can, Super Living Today, where you can learn how to peak. Just search peak, P-E-A-K. And you can learn how to peak. I'd probably do a peaking program, like a longer 8-week peak, and it probably should get you closer. If your 90% of your genetic limit is bulk cycles only to add strength, no, not necessarily. You can still do the 10-pound bulk and cut cycles. The good thing about that is the good thing about the 10-pound limit is you're never going to get too far away from home, right? So if you're like 190 pounds and you're pretty, smoking as far as being close to your genetic limit, if you continue to do 200, 190, 200, 190, bulk cut, look, is that an insane idea? No. Most people over the course of a year gain weight, lose weight, and little fluctuations anyway. So if you are obsessed about getting closer to your natty limit or adding, that last few pounds of muscle, it's not a bad idea as well. It all depends on how bad you want it, what makes sense for you. What exercises do you recommend to increase my bench? First and foremost, do 2 overhead presses a week, a dumbbell and a barbell variation, seated, standing, whatever. You really want to hammer your triceps, probably skull destroyers and close grip bench, and add in a couple other tricep exercises after that. That's going to be your cornerstone. You probably want to do one of my bench programs. Start with 3s, then maybe do my CNS program, the 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, the 5, 10, 10, 20. I have it on this on the YouTubes, or maybe do concurrent periodization. But I'd like to help you more, but that's a real brief overview. By the way, at the moment, my 1 rep max is 275. You need a little bit more advanced programming, probably. Been lifting consistently for 3.5 years. Great gains for around 2 years. Slowed. That's normal. Let's see. Slowed considerably recently. Program has evolved. Nothing's wrong, man. Nothing's wrong. Everything's going to slow down. It's the nature of the curve. The closer you get to the sun, the hotter the sun gets, right? The harder it gets. The more you build, the harder it gets to build. That's the rate. You can't sustain the same progress. The rate of progress is always going to deteriorate over time. That's normal. That's no big deal. Nothing to panic about. It's just your first year, you might gain 100 on your bench. Second year, you might gain 50 on your bench. Third year, you might gain 30 on your bench. And every year after, you might gain 10 to 15 on your bench. Absolutely normal. Nothing to panic about. Big Mike, Is it okay to lean back on the plate loaded row machine, chest off the? Is it okay to lean back? Yeah. When I do chest, I have a plate loaded row in my gym, so I'm sitting up. I don't like to do it forward like this. Okay. I like to lean back and have my belly, my stomach on the pad, and I like to have my torso a little bit back like this. I like to brace it like a seated cable row. I feel that gives me a little bit better pull, a little bit better feel. Absolutely, absolutely. Yvonne, what's your opinion on heavy cluster sets? I have a 10 rep protocol that a lot of my clients use for deadlifts. I'm okay with that. I have no problem with cluster sets at all. Just make sure you have a progression approach. Christian, thank you for the donation. I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you. All right, guys, that's it. Hour and 31 questions are all done. I appreciate you guys joining me. I'll be here every week, Friday at 11 a.m. Eastern. Please tune in. Please head over to my website. If you want coaching, sign up today. If you want to get in Team Massive before the rate increase or before it turns to a monthly, boom, check it out. If you want to work out, check it out. If you want to check out my coaching or my training app, I have an app. You can check that out. All kinds of good stuff. Get a t-shirt. Come on. Santa's coming. Get yourself some Massive Iron stuff. There's even a flag right there. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. I appreciate it. And we are
It's not almost over. You're not almost there. You're not almost there. You're not almost there.